Hi, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor with another Trumpology report for you. And this time, I'm going to give you the information I have come up with in answer to your question, which is, will Donald Trump be impeached? Now, I'm going to share what I see, and keep in mind that we always have our free will. What I'm sharing with you is the potential. I have no idea how it is going to manifest in the United States chart or in Trump's chart. However, I am answering your question, and I'm going to tell you the times when it is possible, when there is a good potential for Trump to leave office, because we're looking. The questions that you've asked me deal with impeachment. He could leave of his own accord. Remember, he had said that the job of president was a lot harder than he thought it would be, and he was missing his old life. So that the question I'm answering is, will he stay in office, essentially? So I'm talking about the possibility of him leaving office, and there are two times that I'm going to talk about. So first of all, I want to return to the earlier eclipses that we had in February. If you have been following, excuse me, let me get this thing a little straighter for you. If you have been following my Trumpology reports, you know that the February 2017 eclipses are still in effect. And we, quote unquote, feel the effects of an eclipse about a week before it occurs. And the reason I say put it in quotes is because the planets do not make us do anything. They reflect where we are at from their heavenly positions. So when I say we feel an eclipse, it's in quotes. We feel about a week before it occurs. It lasts till the next pair of eclipses come along, and it is strongest 3 to 4 months after it occurs. I'm going to go back to the February eclipses, and I'm only going to deal with the ones that answer your question, all right? So we're not going to go through a lot. We're going to go through the important ones. So looking at Trump's chart, and we've talked about this before, the February 10th eclipse was in 22 degrees. Let me get it on this side. 22 degrees of, 22 degrees of Leo. It sat on his Mars in his 12th house. Mars is anger. Mars is what we throw ourselves into. Mars is what comes first to us. The 12th house is behind the scenes activities that the public does not see. It is hidden anger, hidden impatience, hidden fighting because of Mars there. And so that's what's triggered. Now, it also, because Mars is conjunct the ascendant, the eclipse triggered Trump's ascendant. And when we have an eclipse on our ascendant, it's a new life. It's not a new chapter in a book. It's a whole new book, the potential for a whole new book. So here we've got the eclipse sitting on Trump's Mars and the ascendant from the behind the scenes 12th house. So he is involved in perhaps setting up a new life that we're not aware of. And I'm not trying to make this sound weird and mysterious, but 12th house is behind the scenes activities. It deals with our hidden enemies. Hello. We got it right here. We're talking about it. Today is a time we're going to have a full moon on Friday, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But today is June 5th. We know that Comey is going to take the stand, so to speak, with Congress on Thursday. We know that all these eclipses, all the aspects are now really coming forward. So with this eclipse that we had, the first eclipse in February, sitting in his 12th house of behind the scenes activities. There's a lot going on that is very upsetting to him, understandably, if your Mars in the 12th is triggered, and it's sitting on his ascendant. Now, I had shared with you, those of you who understand astrology and study astrology, that we're also going to have 2 eclipses in August. Keep in mind, of course, the February eclipses are strongest right now. And this is why we're talking about Comey, which I'll get to in a minute because he's involved in this. Now, on August 21st, we have another eclipse, this time in 29 Leo. Trump's ascendant, the physical body, the most personal point in the chart, is 29 Leo. This indicates it's the sun, the giver of life, and it's a solar eclipse. And so this is a new life for him. This eclipse also triggers his Mars and sits right on his ascendant. So you might say, well, does that mean he's leaving office because he's having a new life? That is a possibility. Let me just look here for a second. Yeah, okay. This eclipse on his ascendant squares his midheaven. The midheaven is your public image. It's also those people in authority. So in essence, he's doing his thing. He's not doing what authority figures want him to. And since he is the authority figure, there can be a fighting with himself, but also with the authority figures in his life, whoever they may be. So the potential for a new life for Trump is triggered with the August eclipse of August 21st. And keep in mind that that eclipse will be strongest November and December. So right away, we've got 2 opportunities for a change in his position. Right now, and November and December. So let's keep on looking. Let's take a look at the United States chart and look at one more time at the previous eclipses because these are really important. The first eclipse, and we're feeling that right now, when Comey's going to be speaking before Congress, when the whole Russian deal is coming up, when the Trump family is included in the picture. And let me just get to this. The first eclipse of February 2017 was February 10th. It fell in the United States 4th house. This is home, family, real estate. It deals with the party out of power. And what it did, it opposed the moon in the 10th house. The 10th house is our public image, our worldwide image. It's also the president. It's the party that is in power, and it is the president. And the moon in Aquarius represents the leader of our country. So this particular eclipse on February 10th in 22 degrees of Leo showed that there was opposition to the president coming from the Democrats, coming from perhaps farmers, perhaps seniors, but it's the 4th house deals with the emotional security, the things that provide emotional security. And so this indicates a problem coming from other people toward the president. Now, on August 7th, 2017, we have another lunar eclipse. Remember, the lunar eclipse is when things come to a head, okay? This eclipse will sit on our midheaven, that's our public image, our image worldwide, and the moon one more time, which indicates the president. And you might say, well, doesn't that indicate him being in a position of authority, remaining there? And this is where he has his free will. And there are a lot of people involved in this, of course, but he has the free will. It deals with the president. If he steps down, it deals with a new president. doesn't it? So we really don't know what he's going to do. And that's why I'm presenting this as opportunities for you. We will know as we get closer, and I'll probably do another repeat on this one. So we're talking about right now, and then November and December is when this August eclipse is at its peak. Once again, the end of the year. So that's 2 opportunities to do so. Okay, those are the eclipse patterns. Now, I want to talk about Trump's chart again, and many of you know this because you're students of astrology, or professional astrologers. You understand the importance of what I'm going to be describing right now. I'm going to be talking about Saturn. And some of you know exactly where I'm going with this. I can just hear you saying, oh yeah, she's talking about Saturn on a south node moon. Yeah, I sure am, in opposition to his 10th house planets. Okay, Saturn is the planet of reality. It's the planet of restriction. It's the planet of responsibility. And my definition, those of you who I've read, know that my definition of responsibility is respond to your ability. In the chart of somebody in a position of power and authority, Saturn is our teacher, our disciplinarian, because they have a finer line to walk, and sometimes they straddle it. So Saturn is your reality check. Saturn makes it real. So looking at Donald Trump's chart, transiting Saturn, and I put it in brown, okay, is sitting in his 4th house of home, family, real estate. There is a restriction there. There is an aspect that says he has to deal with reality, and it's sitting on his moon south node. Now, the moon is where we are emotionally drawn. We look for our emotional security there. It's in the 4th house of home and family. But the south node is there. And once again, the south node is that which we have mastered in past lives. And it doesn't mean it's going to be terrible or horrible or, you know, a lot of books make the south node sound awful. However, when Saturn sits on it, it puts our feet to the fire, so to speak. We have to deal realistically with what's going on. So Saturn is sitting on his moon south node, and Saturn's going to go direct in August. It's sitting there now. When I say now, I mean this summer and early fall, and it opposes. That means it pushes away the planets in his 10th house, his Uranus North Node, and the Sun. The Sun is the giver of life. And so it's because of what shows up with real estate, with his family, that causes the lack, the difficulty with his public image. And that's going on now. And when I say now, I mean this week. And it sticks around a while because we have a full moon on the 9th, and it falls in 19 degrees of Sagittarius, once again on his moon south node. That south node moon position is being kicked all over the place. I always love it when we have more than one aspect saying the same thing. It's almost as if the universe is saying to us, we got to get their attention. Let's not just do Saturn, let's do the full moon. And so the full moon is on Friday, and Comey speaks to Congress on Thursday. Hello, there it is right there. And it affects his public image very strongly. I would not want to be in the position of having both Saturn and the full moon opposing my public image. Now, I just thought I would mention something else to you that I find really interesting. Oh, the other thing I didn't want to forget about. Remember, the August and September eclipses, the August eclipses, excuse me, are going to be strongest November and December. In December, the transiting Sun, and Mercury retrograde, and Venus all sit on Trump's south node moon. And you might say, well, gosh, the Sun and Venus, that's a blessing. That's wonderful. That helps his home picture. Sure, perhaps he's moving out at the time. Again, I'm giving you the possibilities. I don't know if how he's going to use them. Somebody said, well, perhaps Melania will move in. If that Mercury's retrograde on that moon south node in December, and doesn't go direct until January. So that is an option also. The problem Trump is having is his whole public image is not going well because of everything that is revealed in his family. And it's up to him as to how he chooses to use it. Okay, now, just a little, I don't have a birth time for Comey. I'm so sorry. If you saw my video on Comey, you know that I had to use a solar chart. He's born December 14th, 1960. And just to remind you, when I did the comparison between Trump and Comey, Comey's Sun, of course, is in his first house in a solar chart, which is what we use when we don't have a birth time. Well, Trump's moon south node sits on Comey's Sun, and that weakens Comey, the south node, from somebody else. It also indicates a very strong karmic tie from a past life. Well, conversely, Comey's Sun lights up Trump's south node moon, sheds a light on it. And Saturn is there now in both charts on Comey's Sun and Trump's moon south node. And in this case, and there's no pun intended here, Sun trumps moon, okay? What is happening now for James Comey is that Saturn is sitting on his Sun. I have observed and experienced what it's like to have Saturn on your Sun. I have seen that it strengthens you. It empowers you. Yes, it can build a wall around you. Yes, you can feel restricted by it, depending on where you're coming from. If you look at things positively, you're going to use Saturn on its highest and best level. Saturn, in old-timey astrology books, is described as fear and restriction. Well, if you don't respond to your ability, Saturn, you can be fearful and restricted. However, Comey is stepping forward and he's going to respond to the invitation to speak before Congress. And so that's what's going on for the next couple of months in Comey's chart. And the full moon on Friday sits right on his Sun. It kicks him alive, so to speak. It is awesome. When Saturn's on your Sun, you pretty much grow up. Now, I'm not saying James Comey is a baby. He's stepping up and taking his responsibility. I want to also mention that in December, the Sun, Mercury, retrograde, and then direct in January, and Venus sit on Comey's Sun. So, will these hearings go on for a while? More than likely. Will Comey come out of this by December feeling very good about himself, at least during the time that the Sun and Venus are on his Sun? Yes, he will. So in answer to your questions, we've got two opportunities in 2017. Trump has two opportunities in 2017 to step down, to leave office, should he choose to. When we're dealing with a president of a country, there is so much more karma involved. There seems to be less free will, Although I know some of you are saying, no, Trump uses his free will all the time. And that's true, he does. However, if the masses, if the powers that be have deemed that it is time for someone in a position to step down, that will be set into motion. And that being the case, the two times are this summer, 2017, and the end of 2017. I hope that you have been able to follow along. I've simplified this as much as I possibly can, because to me, it really is simple. I mean, it's like an arrow pointing at what's getting ready to happen. How it's going to happen? Stay tuned, we will see. So, for now, this is Maxine Taylor saying, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. May they shine brightly on our world. And right now, may they shine really brightly on the United States of America. Thank you, dear friends.